Europe. It is clear that we have these networks that are really working against us. And it's also a cognitive warfare. It's a battle of narratives for the hearts and minds. So we are discussing what more can we do in this regard. And then, of course, we have a discussion on Ukraine. Tomorrow marks the 4th anniversary of this horrible war. Of course, there's going to be discussion on the 20th sanctions package, but as you all know, I think there is not going to be progress regarding this today, but we will definitely make this push. Then also the discussion about, what should we talk to the Russians about. It's clear that the pressure so far has been on Ukraine when it comes to the peace talks, but it's clear that it has to be on Russian side because they are the aggressor in this war, and if we want this wars to stop, if we want this not to go any further, then we also need to see concessions from the Russian side. That's also very clear. And then, of course, we will discuss also the 90 billion loan, how it should be pushed forward, but let's see how that works out. And then we have the Middle East. We have Nikolai Mladenov coming to talk to us. We want to be part of the peace process in Gaza and also contribute with what we have. We have the EUBAM Rafah border crossing mission, and we have the EUPOL COPS in order to disarm Hamas. It has to be the Palestinian police, and there the EUPOL COPS could be very handy. We have had agreements also on the with Jordan and Egypt, how we can best do this, but we also need the approval from the Israeli side. And then we will also discuss Syria, the developments in northeast Syria, and what concerns are there. And then after that, we will also touch briefly on points like Venezuela and issues that other member states want to raise. Thank you.
Representative, do we want to be a negotiator with Russia from the EU? We want to have this position. We want to be postponed of this matter. Who should be a negotiator from the EU with Russia? And you are high representative.
Yeah, I think more important than who talks to Russia is what we want to talk them about, and that's why these concessions that we need to see whoever talks to Russia, whether bilaterally or as representative of Europe as such, needs to also ask these questions, what Russia is willing to concede. Because if you ask a lot, you get little. If you ask little, you get nothing. And if you ask nothing, you will pay on top. That's very clear. So let's focus on what kind of concessions we want to see from the Russian side, not who is bringing those concessions to the table.
What size of Russian army is ideal for this negotiation?
Well, it's not up to me to say, but the point is that if there are limitations on the Ukrainian army, there should also be limitations on the Russian army, because they are actually the problem here. But it's, of course, up to the discussions.
After the ceasefire in Syria right now, what message do you have for the President Ahmed Shar and the Kurdish leader Mazlum Abdi?
Well, we have the ceasefire, and of course it's very fragile. So we need those forces to work together to bring about the inclusive government and really reconciliation of the country. And we are willing to help in this regard as much as we can. So also regarding institution building, today we're going to also discuss whether time is ripe to have high-level political dialogue with Syria to address all these concerns.
How do you want about what Mr. Witkoff said? You seem pessimistic, but he seemed optimistic, saying that he expected breakthrough in the coming weeks and possible summits between Putin and Zelensky and maybe Trump. How do you see this optimistic going on? Do you have the same level of optimism?
Looking at the signs, I don't share this optimism because the negotiators on Russian side are not really serious and they are not willing to talk about anything political. So, of course, we have seen a lot of pressure on Ukraine to concede and give up what they are not willing to give up. But it doesn't bring long-term peace. So I'm not that optimistic that we will see any results in coming weeks and months.
How do you respond to U.S. counterparts about de-escalating the situation in Iran?
Yes, the situation in Iran, of course, is very intense. So we don't need another war in this region. We already have a lot. So we have stressed the diplomatic way out of this. So we are also willing to contribute, and it's not only the nuclear issue, but it's also the ballistic missile program and the other worries we have with Iran. It is true that Iran is at its weakest point that they have been. We should be really using this time to find a diplomatic solution.
Package, the sanctions package. You said that there will be today will not pass on. So what kind of signal does this give for years after the start?
No, we are of course doing our utmost to have this sanctions package to push this through, and I've talked to the member states who are also going to raise this and convince the countries who are blocking, and we are also looking ways how we can do it. But as we have heard some very strong statements from Hungary, that's why I don't really see that they are going to change this, unfortunately, today, this position that they have.
How are you going to convince them, like what compromises are on the table to bring it over the line with Hungary?
Well, we have heard from the media their problems that they have that are totally not related to the 20th sanctions package. So I think we shouldn't tie together things that are not connected to each other at all. But let's listen to them explaining what are the reasons why they are blocking, and then see whether there are possibilities to overcome.
High Representative, speaking about negotiations with Russia, about your proposal or idea, can you confirm that your idea also to request to speak about withdrawal of Russia's troops from occupied territories, for example, for us from Georgia, and also, please, can you estimate the situation in Georgia? Situation goes worse in the world.
Yes, it is true that Russia has occupied a lot of territories, and their forces are in different parts when it comes to Georgia, when it comes to Moldova. So yes, it would be clear to have a long-term peace that they would withdraw from all the occupied territories where they are. Of course, some say these demands are not realistic, but let's be honest, the demands from the Russian side are not realistic at all. I mean, they are demanding the territories that they haven't conquered even militarily by diplomatic means. So this is in order to a bit balance the negotiation situation and really bring the focus on the problem, which is Russia continuing to attack its neighbors. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. And this is the last meeting before the 4-year anniversary of Russia's aggression, full-scale Russian aggression against Ukraine. So tomorrow we are entering the 5th year of the war, and there is no more important discussion than today. The decision-making has to be there. So we are fully committed both to the 20th sanctions package, strong, including maritime services ban, but also political commitment, economic commitment, military commitment to support European values of freedom, sovereignty, territorial integrity of Ukraine. So Russia's war has to be ended in a peace that is just, in a peace that is lasting. And Latvia, as a member of UN Security Council, will deliver that message tomorrow at the UNSC. The second part of everything is, of course, that Russia's war is failing. Moving with 15 meters a day or not, as we have seen, Ukraine has recovered significant territory, quite clearly shows that Russia is not achieving its strategic objectives on the battlefield. So we should not let them achieve that at the negotiations table. So we stand fully behind Ukraine, and we also think that Europe should be at the negotiations table, because nobody else but Europe decides for European principles and European values. So that is a message we deliver both to our Ukrainian friends and to our American friends. We are stronger together if we stand together also at the negotiations table. And for Ukraine to be strong at the negotiations table, they need military aid. They need air defenses, because, yes, drones are doing some damage, but it's the missiles, Russian cruise missiles, ballistic missiles, that do the most damage. So air defense system, but also long-range strikes into Russia to make sure that legitimate military objects are effective. And third, unity, unity, unity. European unity, global unity, showing to Russia that they are not succeeding anywhere. And that means the votes in the UNGA. On Tuesday we have the vote on the Ukrainian resolution. But that also means continuing not electing Russia into international leadership positions in the organizations. And weakening Russian economy, Russian capability on the battlefield, the peace is within reach. That's my message today.
Would you like the chance to get these sanctions through in time for the anniversary, though?
We will get them through.
The Minister, you said that we have to show that Russia is not succeeding, but
Russia is not succeeding.
While we have Hungary and Slovakia, specifically Hungary in this union, it looks like Russia succeeds, because we hear that they ban sanction package, they ban a loan for Ukraine. What to do with these countries, specifically
the loan is true, so that will be proceeding quite clearly. There are certain technical arrangements that is for later to be decided, but the loan is there, and we will deal with the sanctions package.
Minister, can you emphasize what's one specific commitment your country is doing right now to prevent 5th anniversary?
Well, what Latvia is doing is everything that we can. We just delivered another package of energy support, and we are preparing another one, including we are literally moving thermoelectric station that has been dismantled in Latvia that we don't need anymore, that is being transferred. But also militarily, we are just announced another Pearl commitment for exactly the American capabilities that are the most efficient against the Russian missiles, but also humanitarian support. The Latvian public TV is running very wide, large public campaign to gather donations and to bring what is needed to the front and to the people. The same is done by private TVs, by NGOs, by businesses. So it's all across the board. That is what we are doing, and we'll continue doing so.
Minister, you mentioned that Europe should be at the negotiation table, but who should represent Europe? It should be like special envoy or like...
Well, we have European representatives. That's why we have the leadership of the EU, so it's pretty straightforward in our case.
Minister, we saw in the draft of this sanctions 20th package seaport in the territory of Georgia. Also, we see the numbers of oil delivery from Georgia for last months. Will you support this decision? And also, how do you estimate the situation in Georgia, the deterioration?
I cannot comment on classified discussions, so I'm not going to do that on particularities. And situation in Georgia, I think you have heard me saying that I think Georgian people deserve the government respecting their European choice, which is not happening currently.
Sir, after 4 years of the war between Russia and Ukraine, what's the future of the Ukrainian refugees in Europe?
Well, we are hosting a large number of Ukrainian refugees. They are partially integrating well, but of course they all want to live back in democratic, safe, sovereign Ukraine, and that is our obligation, I think, for all of us to make sure that those people can return to Ukraine that is democratic, sovereign and free.
So some of them, they want to stay in Europe.
The mobility nowadays, as we all know ourselves, we can live part of the years. That's part of the freedom in Europe. We can live in one place, work in another place, study, and then go back. So it's not Soviet Union, which limited people to be moving around. I thank you.
Thank you.
They start to talk about the necessity to talk directly to Russia. Some would suggest that Mr. Costa should be given a kind of mandate to negotiate in the name of the EU. Do you think it's the time? What do you think about the idea?
I think, as Chancellor Merz said in Munich speech, where he described that there was a leader of one of European states who went to Moscow before at the start of the war and came back quite shattered. So currently we don't see any indications that Russia wants peace, that there is move towards peace, so we don't see the ability for Europe to talk with Russia. In the same time, of course, we have multilateral negotiations, Ukraine, US and Russia, and Europe should be at that table because there are European interests in there, and only Europe decides for European interests.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you. Munich speech, where he described that there was a leader.
Labas rytas.
Aš pirmiausia gal klausimų, kol neužmiršau kitų, nes šiandienos dėl JAV muitų girdėjome aukščiausiojo teismo sprendimą ir į tai reaguojant Trumpas įvedė 15% papildomus visam pasauliui. Kokia yra Lietuvos pozicija?
Mes tikimės, kad Jungtinės Amerikos valstijos laikysis susitarimo, kuris buvo pasiektas rugpjūčio mėnesį 25 metais. Ir žinome, kad mūsų pusėje tie darbai vyksta Europos parlamente. Tikimės, kad ir Amerikos pusėje jie bus finalizuoti. Ir nebeįsivelsime dar į vieną eskalaciją susijusią su muitais.
O šiaip tas susitarimas palenda po tuo aukščiausiojo teismo sprendimu, ar čia atskiras dalykas ir jis vis tiek galioja, ar turėtų būti panaikinta kaip tai?
Mūsų įsitikinimu jisai turėtų galioti. Vis tiek, Europos komisija investavo nemažai laiko, tai yra Europos komisijos pirmiausia kompetencija pasiekti sustarimų dėl prekybos sąlygų ir tikimės, kad jie bus įgyvendinti. Kaip Amerikos pusėje tie procesai bus organizuoti, tai jų yra pačių reikalas, bet mes tikimės, kad nereikės grįžti ir vėl iš naujo dėrėtis, nes buvo iš tikrųjų sunkiai pasiektas sprendimas.
Šiandienos aktualija buvom girdėję iš Kajos Kalas, kad iki 24 vasario bus priimtas 20 sankcijų paketas. Dabar kyla klausimas, ar tai bus padaryta. Girdime, Vengrijos blokas, Slovakijos ir pietų šalis reikalauja švelnesnio to laivybos draudimo. Kokia ta situacija? Ko šiandien galima tikėtis, jeigu kažko galima tikėtis?
Šiandien tikiuosi labai atviros diskusijos, dar kartą sudėliojant taškus, apie ką yra Europos Sąjunga ir ko mes visi bendrai siekiame. Negalime tapti įkaitais, iš tikrųjų tai vienos valstybės pagrinde, kas yra susijęs su sankcijomis. Jeigu kas nors kitos šalys šiek tiek kelia konkrečius klausimus susijusius su jų įmonių tolimesnė veikla, tai mes turime Vengriją, kuri iš principo tiesiog blokuoja ir tiek. Ir karo metinėms, 4 karo metinėms Europos Sąjungoje neturėti 20 sankcijų paketo, ambicingas jis jau taip ar taip nėra, bet iš viso jo neturėti yra labai bloga žinia. Yra kita dar tema, tai 90 milijardų eurų dydžio paskola, kurią ir vėl Vengrija blokuoja, vilkina. Aš nesimsiu spėlioti, kiek vidaus politiniai procesai ir rinkimai Vengrijoje lemia tokius sprendimus, bet jie yra absoliučiai žalingi. Tai čia taip pat ir Europos Sąjungoje yra klausimas, ar neturėtume imtis teisinių priemonių ir užkirsti kelią tokiam manipuliavimui